Could medieval men legally beat their wives and children? Were widowed heiresses forced to remarry in the Middle Ages? Why were medieval beds so short? These and other questions will be answered right after this. I'm Professor Jerome Arkenberg, and I've been teaching a wide variety of history courses at colleges across this country for the past 30 years. In this video, I'm going to tell you about medieval husbands, wives, and widows, medieval children, and how medieval people slept, not so well at times. At the end, I'll have the wrap-up quote on this video, so be sure to stick around for it. But first, make sure to click like, share, and especially subscribe, and that little bell thingy, so I can continue to bring you more great videos just like this one. In medieval Europe, the basic unit of society was the nuclear family, not as one of our former American presidents said, nuclear, but nuclear, headed by the father, who represented it legally, gave it his name, administered all finances, and made all decisions concerning the children, except marriage, as we shall see. But most wives, whether noblewoman or serf, once they gave birth to a son and proved good household managers, shared power with their husbands. This was not legal, it was just common usage. Nonetheless, women were expected to be subservient, and husbands could legally beat their wives and children. They could not kill or maim them, but mental and physical abuse, even imprisonment and denying them food and water, was all right, as was spousal rape, which was not rape, but called marriage. As St. Paul puts it in the epistles, marital debt. When you marry, you owe your spouse a debt of sex whenever that other person wants it, within church restrictions, as we will find out. Most women were stuck indoors, sewing, cleaning, cooking, and raising children. Peasant women and children, though, often joined husbands, fathers, and siblings in the fields for planting, haymaking, and harvest. Why? Simple. You have a certain time window when you can plant, when you could make hay, and when you can harvest. And if you miss that window, you all starve and die. So in those periods, all bodies, everybody that is able to, will get out in the fields and help out. Townswomen also often worked outside the home, either with their husbands, fathers, or brothers, helping them out as weavers, dyers, fullers, bakers, and tailors. None of the women, of course, being allowed to join the particular guild that was involved in this, nor did they get any particular credit. But townswomen could also work independently. There were guilds for them, mostly for silk weaving and embroidery. They could also work independently as midwives, wet nurses, and even prostitutes. Some areas and some regions over the course of the Middle Ages, prostitution was legal, some was not. And many women also worked as dairymaids, chicken farmers, and brewers. In fact, most beer was brewed and sold by women until the 14th century, when the addition of hops made it profitable and tasty, and men then took over the business. Yes, you heard me right. Whether king or lord, merchant or artisan, children were normally sent out between the ages of 7 to 9, which means you rarely raised your own children, unless you were a peasant. These children who are being sent out, if you're part of the upper classes, you would work as attendants or servants in another's household, hopefully that of the king or the emperor, failing that, a great lord, failing that, the mother's brother. Or, if you are part of the towns class, the artisan class, you'd be sent out to learn a job, to be an apprentice. But either, for another 7 to 9 years, they would learn various skills, build up, hopefully, a professional and social network, learn the ways of the world, and hopefully people will see them as suitable for a great marriage match. Peasants, of course, did not bother to send their children out, and remember, peasants were about 90% of the population. On a husband's death, widows automatically received a third of her husband's real estate, real property, for use during her lifetime, often, if not usually, called the widow's share. Though her husband, through a will, could disinherit her from receiving any of his personal property, and that includes the children. Because real estate, real property, was governed by the customs of the land, mostly that of the king's law, whereas personal property, if you have jewelry, furniture, or whatever, was governed by church law. And there you could disinherit any of your relatives. In fact, the church would prefer you to give your stuff to them. Widows were under great pressure to remarry, especially if they were of childbearing age and if they were of noble birth. However, as we will see in a different video, the church required free consent, and widows and their property were under the special protection of both church and king, and hence they could not be forced into another marriage against their will. Medieval people generally went to bed at sunset and rose at dawn, but that would mean in winter about 16 hours sleep at night, much more further north. So sleep was normally divided into 3 sections. 1, a short afternoon nap, followed by a first sleep, and then a second sleep. The first sleep lasted from twilight, dusk, when it really gets dark, till the middle of the night. Monks would get up and sing matins, and mostly wake up everybody in the neighborhood, while the laity could chat, pray, snack. If they're literate, they could read, write, do accounts, maybe have sex, after which came a second sleep, which lasted until first light. Most townspeople and the nobility could afford a bed, maybe not more than one, but at least one, even if it meant sharing when guests stayed over. It violated hospitality if you did not. So, despite the normal practice of sleeping nude, except for a nightcap, as you see here, all slept together, men and women. But it's not an orgy. It's not threesomes and foursomes. This is no hanky-panky allowed, please. just regular sleep, because otherwise your guests will have to sleep on the floor, and oh my God, that was the worst thing you could do. You would get a bad reputation. While the poorest slept on straw or bracken-stuffed sacks, kind of like a futon, those who could afford it stuffed their mattresses with feathers, horsehair, or wool, along with some lavender, fleabane, or some other bug-repellent herb to make sure you don't get bed bugs or anything else. The mattress would lay above a woven mat, preventing the mattress from bulging down between the ropes stretched between the bed frame, which is what you see here. These are the ropes in the bed frame. There are no spring mattresses because they do not have the technological ability to make springs out of metal, and making springs out of wood somehow just doesn't work well. Nor do they have slats of wood linking one side to the other. Instead, it was this strings, the ropes. And by the way, the ropes had to be continually tightened every day to prevent sagging, from whence comes the old wish, sleep tight, tighten those strings, don't let the bed bugs bite. Most medieval people also slept propped up in pillows, as you see here and here, which is why medieval beds often look rather short. Now, even given that, medieval people are generally shorter than modern people. Still, it's because they slept propped up. Why? Well, they feared that if you slept on your back, your mouth might fall open and cause you to snore, which normally it does. But also, a gaping mouth was thought an open invitation to the devil to enter your body and steal your soul, which is what you see happening here, clearly the devil, and here, the devil again, trying to go in and steal your soul. The wrap-up quote. You, the wife, ought to be humble and obedient towards your husband, to him and to his commandments whatsoever they may be, whether made in earnest or in jest, orders to do strange things, or matters of small import or great. For all things should be of great importance to you, since he that is your husband has bidden you to do them. His pleasure should come before yours. You ought not be arrogant, and you ought not answer back your husband nor his words, nor contradict what he says, above all, before other people. Love your husband's person carefully, and keep him in clean linen, for that is your business. Your husband is upheld by the hope that he has of the care which you will take care of him on his return, and of the ease, the joys, and the pleasures which you will do or cause to be done to him in your presence, to be unshod before a good fire, to have his feet washed, and fresh shoes and hose put on him, to be given good food and drink, to be well served and well looked after, well bedded in white sheets and nightcaps, well covered with good furs, and assuaged with other joys and sports, privities, loves, and secrets, whereof I am silent. Le Ménagier de Paris, 1392. Let me know what you think of this quote in the comment section below. And also, what you liked about this video, and what other historical topics or subjects you'd like to see in future videos. Be sure to like, share, and especially subscribe, as it will help me bring you more great videos. And click on that little bell thingy, so you'll know when the next History Waits for No One video is posted. If you want to know more, there are recommended studies on this topic in the description below, along with other ways to connect with me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the past.